Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, January 20th, 2025. And I think it would have been fight week. Still is fight week. Noah Inouye would have been fighting Sam Goodman this week, and you've still got a feel for Sam, don't you? I'm sure he's not feeling too great these days, although there is the compensation, I suppose, if you will, or the consolation that he's still sort of highly ranked with the organisations, and I'm sure he'll get his shot at some stage. But I did see Mike Altamura over there in Japan with his fighter, Kim. He'll take on Inouye this Friday night, I think it is. So all the best to him. Obviously, he's going to need it. But it's interesting that I did see on Mike's socials the other day that Kim did fight at the Malvern Town Hall in Melbourne. Was it last year at some stage? So pretty crazy, or the year before, whatever it was. And I think that was my old stomping ground at the Malvern Town Hall. I think he's gone from there all the way to Japan to fight one of the top 2 or 3 fighters in the world. It's just amazing, isn't it? So that's what can happen in boxing. You just hang in there, you keep winning. You have a recognised ranking, and that's all you got to do. And we've seen it a little bit, haven't we, that even with Aussie fighters, you win one of those regional belts, all you got to do is get ranked in the top 15, and then anything can happen. You get the call up, and this is what's happened with Kim. He is ranked, and I think they did have him, obviously they had him on standby, because I think they're a little bit dubious about Sam's cut being ready for 4 weeks later. And of course their feelings, or the gut feelings, were right, and Sam had to pull out, and here we are. He gets his opportunity, so we'll be watching as well. Again, I had a little bit of trouble getting my money back for the Inouye Goodman fight that I got charged for on Foxtel. So if you haven't done that, make sure you do that and check your statement, because I didn't initially, and just happened to go through it. It seemed a bit high, and discovered that I'd been charged for that fight. So again, don't try doing it online either. They're just hopeless online. Ring them up and get them to do it over the phone. That's what I did anyway. On to today's news, and it is big news too, that the Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford fight looks closer than ever to happening. We've been talking about it for a few weeks, of course, and the rumour mill going around, and apparently it is September the 13th, which is Mexican Independence Day weekend in Las Vegas, which would be great. I don't want to see these Saudi cards with these type of massive fights. This fight has to be in Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena. It will be huge. So all the titles it's not maybe, as long as Canelo fights William Scull in May, all the titles will be on the line. But if not, does it really matter? I think in this day and age, I know we all talk about undisputed and this and that. I mean, when you get to Canelo's level, just like Pacquiao and Mayweather and De La Hoya, look, belts I don't think really matter that much. People just want to see the fights. And I think the fight fans, I mean, they would market it as just the super middleweight championship of the world. Does it really matter whether it says undisputed? I don't think, or who knows. But so if that is the case, if it's going to be September 13, you would think that Canelo will try and maybe fight, or not try, if he decides to, he will fight William Scull in May, and that will net him the IBF belt, and then maybe it could be for undisputed. But either way, interesting too, it'll be the full 168 pounds. With no rehydration clauses. That's the interesting one. Now, it doesn't surprise me at all, because Canelo, and quite within his rights, would say, I don't care what weight you're coming up from, it's 168, no rehydration clauses, it is what it is, take it or leave it. This is Canelo Alvarez we're talking about, and even though Terence Crawford, one of the modern day greats, not probably, he will go down as a Hall of Famer, and again, one of the top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighters in the world. That means nothing when you come up against someone like Canelo Alvarez. He is the A side, well and truly, and Terence Crawford, if he wants to fight, you got to remember too, he's the challenger. He's going up in weight. So, you know, Canelo Alvarez, and he wants every advantage that he can get as well, obviously. So, yeah, look, it's fascinating, and look, and the initial thoughts are just write Crawford off, no chance. How can he beat Canelo? Canelo will probably come in at 180 on fight night. Crawford will probably come in maybe 170. So it's sort of 10 pounds. What's that? Nearly 5 kilos. But or maybe won't even be that heavy, Crawford. But just the normal thing with a lot of boxing fans, and look, and maybe some boxing experts as well, just write him off. No hope. Can't do it. How could you possibly beat Canelo Alvarez at that weight? Well, guys, look at history. All you got to do is look back in history. Now, there's a lot of different circumstances involved, I know, and look, some of the ones that come up, of course, are Sugar Ray Leonard going up to beat Muhammad Ali, Marvin Hagler. We had Michael Spinks going up to beat Larry Holmes, even like Roy Jones Jr. going up and beating Ruiz at heavyweight. I mean, and the obvious one, the main one that I think people that are supporting Crawford will go to is Manny Pacquiao going up and beating Oscar De La Hoya. And not just Oscar, I mean, he beat, even at that weight, Margarito and Cotto. Well, Cotto wasn't really a solid welterweight, was he? But Margarito at 154. Even Mayweather going up to 154. I mean, he started at what, 130? Or 130, 135, whatever it was. So they can do it. If you're talented enough, you can do it. Now, obviously, with those examples I just gave, the naysayers will say, well, Spinks went up and fought an old Larry Holmes. When I say old, what was he? He was only, what, 34, 35? That's young in these days, but back then it was old. But he went up there, and I think he caught Larry unaware. The other one was, of course, Roy Jones beating Ruiz is not necessarily Crawford going up and beating someone like Canelo. Is that Ruiz is not really in Canelo's league. And Hagler and Leonard, the weight difference, even though Leonard had fought at sort of welterweight and, well, 147, 154, and Hagler was 160. Hagler was not a big middleweight at 160, actually quite small, made the weight pretty easily, and so I don't think the size difference was that much. And then the Pacquiao De La Hoya situation, well, the difference here is that Canelo is not way over the hill like De La Hoya was, and also not completely weight drained like De La Hoya was. De La Hoya had fought at middleweight, going back down to welterweight. Canelo, no such problems. He's a fully fledged, solid 168, and that's where he's going to fight. But having said that, and that's probably the way I lean, by the way. Totally different circumstances with Canelo, still being semi-peakish, but a solid 168. Having said that, I do give Terence Crawford a chance, and you have to give him a chance, just based on those other examples I gave, just talent-wise. I mean, talent does beat size a lot of the times. It really does. And you look at Canelo, he does have the concrete boots on sometimes. Crawford is super fast, good on his, or really good on his feet, just brilliant boxing IQ. The obvious questions have to be asked: well, what happens when he takes that all the way up to 168? I mean, he's gone from 147, which I think he looked more comfortable at 147. Didn't look great at 154. Has been inactive, and that's probably the other big thing as well we've got to factor in. But didn't look overly great at 154, and he's going all the way to 168. So, I mean, there's lots of things that have to be counted in there. But as I said, Canelo has got those concrete boots on sometimes, not overly fast, cuts the ring off okay when he probably wears his opponents down. Crawford, you've just got to wonder, with that weight on his legs, will he be able to avoid Canelo? So many different intangibles in there. But again, I am giving Terence Crawford a chance. You just have to. This guy is such a special fighter, like Sugar Ray Leonard was, like Manny Pacquiao was, that you just cannot write them off. And for one, I'm really looking forward to the fight. And what I'm looking forward to as well the most is that we've got a genuine super fight back in Las Vegas, back on a massive weekend between two massive names in the sport. I just think it's going to be fantastic. And the only downside, of course, is that there'll be so much negative publicity about, well, Terence Crawford hasn't got a chance. Because, look, it's probably either way. If you're a boxing follower, expert, whatever you might want to think, you might say, well, that you have to give Crawford a chance if you know anything about boxing. Then on the flip side, you're going to have those say, well, again, if you know anything about boxing, you wouldn't give Crawford a chance in hell. It's a fascinating fight, and I for one, am really welcoming the fight, and you know, I'm just fascinated to see which way the fight will go. I suppose if I had an early prediction, I think that, let's say that Terence Crawford carries the weight okay. Maybe he doesn't come in at 168, maybe it's 162, 163, something like that. Remember, he's only got to be over 160 to qualify for 168. So let's just say he comes in at a reasonable weight and maintains a fair bit of his speed. Then, you know, maybe Canelo tries to come out and cut him off and really rough him up a little bit, but Crawford, with that slick movement, slick footwork, just evades him and makes him miss for a few rounds, and then starts to pick it up. And you know, you just don't know. Maybe he pulls off the Hagler-Leonard game plan where he sort of just boxes with Canelo for 2 minutes and 20 seconds and then really picks it up in the last 20 seconds of each round to steal the round. I mean, there's so many intangibles in this fight, but I'm not just going to write it off and just say Canelo just wins easily, because that's just not what boxing history tells us. So I'd be interested, I am interested to hear what you guys have to say. I'm just going to turn Neil around here. Come this way, bud. All right. So anyway, I'm sure you'll all give me your thoughts about that. Now, just even though we are, 20 days into the year, I did read yesterday, there was an article by ESPN about some boxing predictions for 2025, and I thought, even though again we're 3 weeks into the year, I would go over them and just see what you reckon. Actually, one thing I did see, hang on, that's a Ring magazine. I'll go back to that. All right, so some of the predictions. Let us know what you think. Here's the first one. Vladimir Klitschko will attempt to break George Foreman's record. So the record is 45 years of age. Now, currently Klitschko is 48. Hasn't fought since the Anthony Joshua fight. Yeah, no, not really. I'm not to say he's not going to maybe come back and maybe attempt it, but will he get a crack at the belt? I mean, Usyk's pretty much tied up, and Dubois are pretty much tied up for the next, you'd think, 12 to 18 months. So could he do a Foreman and come back and maybe win a couple of fights? I mean, he wouldn't obviously be ranked straight away, because he's got the sanctioning bodies do what they normally do. You've got to actually earn your shot. Errol Spence, of course, has just been refused a shot at the 154-pound belt because he hasn't fought at 154 and hasn't fought for about 18 months. So, come on, buddy. Don't know what he's doing there. So I don't think that's going to happen, but he would have to fight his way back and probably get at least a couple of wins. So whether he can do that, I doubt it. So you never know, he might come back and have a fight just to go out on a winning note, but I doubt he's fighting for the heavyweight title. So I'll put a line through that one. What's the other one here? Alexander Usyk will retire in 2025. Yeah, could be on the cards. When you think about it, he might say, okay, I'm going to come back and fight Daniel Dubois in the second half of 2025, and then that will be it. Maybe. What else has he got after that? If he beats Dubois for a second time, he would have beaten Dubois twice, Joshua twice, and Fury twice. Unified the heavyweight title twice. The cruiserweight title, of course. Not much else to do, so I wouldn't be surprised with that one. So yeah, look, I'm going to probably put a tick beside that one. I don't think he's going to go down to cruiserweight. I just can't see it. What is he? He'd have to lose about 10 kilos. I know he bulks up to 220. I don't know, maybe he could do it, but he's just a hell of an ass of a guy that's 38 years old to lose all that bulk and go back down to cruiserweight. But you never know. And as much as I want to see it, and I would love to see it with the Jai Pattaya fight, I'm just not sure it's a big enough fight at the moment for Usyk to want to go back down. So we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, the next one, Tyson Fury will fight Anthony Joshua in 2025. Well, again, probably got to agree with this one. Obviously, Tyson Fury retired a couple of weeks ago, or whatever it was. But he has retired, 3-4 times before, so it's got merit. End of the day, there is massive money on the line for this fight, and neither one of them, well, Tyson's got options, he's retired, of course, but Anthony Joshua hasn't got a lot of options. They're talking about maybe Dillian Whyte again. Why roll Dillian Whyte out for him after the amount of, I think he's only fought Joshua once, but what did he fight? Fury at least a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know. I just that one just doesn't get me excited. I know Joshua will have to do what he's got to do if he's got no options, but this fight here, I think they're going to push really hard for it. I think Eddie Hearn will be right on Frank Warren about this fight, and I still think it happens. Maybe in the second half of the year, maybe August, September, October, something like that. I think the fight happens. I was going to say it's a gut feel, but I don't think it's really something a lot of people are going to argue against. I think most people think it's going to happen. So, yeah, that's a good one. We'll see what happens with that one. The other one, Dmitry Bivol dominates Artur Beterbiev in the rematch to become undisputed light heavyweight champion. Well, it's quite possible. I'll say it again, I thought Bivol won the first fight, but I'm not going to argue with those that thought Beterbiev won. It was a great fight, it really was, and it was a skillful fight. It wasn't the most action-packed fight, but just the back and forth, I thought it was great, and the chess match that it sort of was. So I think that, let's see, what is it? So Bivol dominates. Well, I don't think he's going to dominate Artur Beterbiev. I wouldn't think so, but I'm going to say that Dmitry Bivol wins the rematch over Artur Beterbiev in a points decision. Look, again, just because I think he's more skilled. I'm not so sure Beterbiev has got really that much else he can do. He's just that robot type of plotter. Dmitry Bivol's got a few more strings to the bow, as they say. So I'm not with a lot of confidence. I'm almost sort of hoping that Bivol wins just so we get a third fight. I think it's one of those trilogies that would be fantastic. So, but yeah, it should be awesome. What is it? Only a month away, so we'll find out very, very soon anyway. But I think Bivol can beat Beterbiev. I'm not sure that he dominates, but let's see what happens. And then the last one is Joseph Parker will upset Daniel Dubois for the IBF heavyweight title. Now, this is one I can really agree with. I have said numerous times that I think Parker can win. Will he? Well, it remains to be seen. I don't really want to keep sort of laying into Daniel Dubois, but I just still see him as a limited type of fighter. Yeah, he can punch, and you can't argue with his results. He almost beat Usyk. He did beat Joshua. So, yeah, he's a good fighter. I just think with the right type of fighter against him, he can be exposed. And I just think Joseph Parker has got what it takes to beat Dubois. Now, who knows, maybe I'll look like an idiot and Dubois will wipe Parker out. But again, it's just a gut feel. I think Parker can box. He can punch when he needs to. He's got good movement. I just think he's got what it takes to frustrate Dubois and win a 12-round decision. I really do. I just think Dubois, again, I don't know. There's just something that, I've said it before, Frank Bruno-esque, can look good in certain fights and then look just horrible in others against the right fighter. So look, let's hope we get a good fight anyway, and wins that February 22nd as well. So I'm really happy that Parker's got his opportunity, because with those wins over Zhang and Wilder, he really deserved it, and I'm sort of hoping he can get the win over Dubois. And look, maybe that could be something that keeps Usyk excited. If Parker does beat Dubois, Usyk might get a fresh challenger, something to really get him motivated again, and the fire's burning, and we could have Usyk Parker for the undisputed title. I don't know, but it's definitely possible. So I would definitely put a tick beside that one as well. So pretty much sort of agreed with most of those except for the Klitschko one. I just don't think that happens. And then another fight I did see that looks like it's going to happen is, Jaron Ennis, Boots Ennis, and Samantha Stanionis for the WBA and IBF welterweight title. So that's going to be a unification April 12th. So the big fights just keep coming. The meaningful fights keep happening, or keep getting announced. So I think it's awesome. The other thing I did see as well, talking about those fights, is Sebastian Fundora. Sergey Boychuk is pushing really hard to get that opportunity, and you can remember they were supposed to actually fight on the Thurman, Zoo Thurman card last year, and of course we all know what happened there. Thurman pulled out, Fundora stepped up, Boychuk beat Brian Mendoza, who was on standby. What a card that was in hindsight, wasn't it? Some good fights on that card. So Boychuk is really now pushing for the Fundora fight, and I hope he gets it. I really do. I know there were some concerns that he only fought in December. But it was a pretty easy fight for Bolachok. He would have been straight back into training after the new year, and I think he would be ready. I think they worked out it was about 10 weeks away, so who knows, maybe Bolachok, this is what they were sort of talking about, because I think Fundora wanted to fight in March, I think it was, March 29th. So Bolachok, who fought December 21st, I think it was, they're saying that, yeah, he had a quick break over Christmas and New Year, he's back in training and will be ready for that fight. So, yeah, that's a very, very winnable fight for Bolachok. And again, it's amazing what can happen when you're in the right spot at the right time. He's been active, Bolachok, he's kept in shape, and now it might be his opportunity to step up and fight Sebastian Fundora for all the belts, and it's up to him whether he takes his opportunity. But it's again, swings and roundabouts. When you're down, you're not, well, you mightn't be as low as you think you are, and when you're up, you mightn't be as high as you think you are either. And here's Bolachok, who lost the Madrimov fight, didn't lose the fight, but lost the opportunity to fight when Madrimov pulled out the fight Ortiz, and now we might get a crack at Fundora. So we'll see about that one. But again, I'll give Bolachok a big chance to win that fight. So guys, I think that's going to do it for today. I've got to jump in the car and head to work. There will be no episode tomorrow, by the way. I've got to head off really early in the morning, so I won't be able to take little Neil for a walk, unfortunately, but I'll see you again on Wednesday anyway. So guys, have a great day, and we will catch you on Wednesday.